So I met some people from Tony's Chocolonely about a year ago, and they told me they wanted to launch that chocolate in Portland, Oregon. First time in the United States, and I told them like another chocolate, like I was a little skeptical. But then they told me their story, and before I knew it, I wanted to get involved. So the chocolate industry in the world basically consists of like millions of chocolate farmers, mostly in West Africa, and then about a couple of billion of consumers, mostly in the Western world. And in the middle are basically a few large multinationals that basically hold all the power. And it's in their best interest to keep the prices of the chocolate low. Like a chocolate farmer only makes about 16 cents of every chocolate bar sold. And that makes about $1,200 a year, which basically means like he makes about like $1, less than $1 a day per person in his family. And like we think this is like not a fair sharing of the profits. So in the world, there's basically two countries that make about 60%, over 60% of the chocolate, Ghana and Ivory Coast. And over 2 million children in these countries work on the plantations under illegal circumstances. And about 90,000 kids of those are trafficked and work under slavery conditions. So already in 2001, Senator Harkin and Engel basically introduced like the Harkin-Engel Protocol. And this protocol was meant to end slavery in the chocolate industry by the year 2011. And all the large chocolate companies applauded this and signed this protocol. Well, then in 2005, a Dutch TV show called Keuringsdienst van Waarde and a journalist called Teun van der Keuken decided to like investigate this and see what progress was made, and found out that no progress was made at all, and that large chocolate companies like Nestle even denied the existence of child slavery in chocolate. So Teun, the journalist, decided to eat some chocolate and turn himself into the police for eating tainted chocolate. And eventually the judge ultimately agreed with Teun that this was a crime, but he couldn't convict him because he didn't want to convict every single chocolate consumer in Holland. So after this, Teun basically decided to start his own chocolate company called Tony's Chocolonely, to show that it is possible to make a great tasting chocolate for an affordable price without the use of illegal child labor. So now 10 years later, like what started out as a small fair trade certified chocolate company in Holland has had a huge impact in creating an awareness around child slavery in West Africa in the chocolate industry. But for us, that's really only the beginning. Like we want to create 100% slave-free chocolate. And by that we mean not only our own chocolate, we want to make all chocolate in the world 100% slave-free. Because we think that everybody should take their responsibility and that illegal child labor is simply unacceptable. So we say that we are crazy about chocolate. I gotta wait here a second. And serious about people. And by that we mean that we want to make the most delicious chocolate possible. But at the same time, we want to treat everybody we work with in a fair way. And that seems very straightforward, but somehow that isn't really all that common. So how do we get there? Like we created a 3-stage roadmap, like the first stage being creating awareness. And then leading by example, by that we mean that like we want to create a business model that is fair and transparent. And ultimately, we need to find other companies that want to follow our approach. So for us, a chocolate bar really is the best way of communicating what we are about. Like we looked at chocolate bars and our own bars and thought like, isn't it weird that in the world of chocolate, like all chocolate bars are divided equally when things are shared so unfairly in the industry? Because we feel that everybody should deserve their fair compensation for what they do in making chocolate. So we created an unequally divided chocolate bar, and for whoever, like, this may come in handy, but like the largest piece here is like the Tony's Chocolonely logo. And the second largest piece is actually representing Nigeria, because our bars are not randomly unequal. You can basically see the bottom of the bar, which represents the equator. And then above that you see the west coast of Africa with Ivory Coast, Ghana, Benin, Togo, which we combined because it wouldn't fit a nut otherwise. And then Nigeria and Cameroon. So the largest issue in the chocolate industry is the lack of transparency. And this even is true for certified chocolate, believe it or not. And so we think that if you know where your cocoa comes from, you can take responsibility and actually be held responsible. So we've created a completely segregated supply chain for our cocoa beans with Barry Callebaut, like the largest chocolate processor in the world. And this wasn't easy, and it was the first time that anybody did this. But for us, it's important to do this on a large scale, so actually other large companies can follow us. So now, Holland is a small country, and we really need the big companies in the world to notice us. And the 3 largest chocolate companies in the world are based here in the United States. So basically, here we are. Welcome to America. Hello, PDX. But we know that we cannot do this by ourselves. So alone, we make slave-free chocolate. But together, we can make the entire chocolate industry slave-free. So we rely on our friends. We rely on consumers, people who care about these issues, to basically help us spread a word. And so obviously, tonight, we actually brought a bar of chocolate for all of you. So on your way out, we ask you to pick up a bar of chocolate, at the table over there. And we ask you to basically share some of this chocolate and share our story with your friends. Maybe go to your stores, ask to carry Tony's Chocolonely, and maybe look us up on social media and like us, because together we can fight this injustice. Thank you.